winner. Here are Australia. Well, they won the plate last year. It's a young side, but believe it or not, there isn't a single player in this Australian squad who were here last year in Hong Kong. They've got John Grant there, the man to watch. 17 tries, this massive input he's made on this Australian side this season. And exciting new players, Jonathan Lance, Lewis Holland, he's the one with the bushy blonde. And of course, for some odd reason, they're never very generously supported here by the neutrals. And as they run out, you'll hear the boos, I'm sure. But some experience there and a lot of talent. What about Argentina? Well, they're below par, certainly, this tournament so far, losing to inspired Canada. But they have a habit, don't they, of lifting their game, rather like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Hernan Olivari has been a big asset coming back, recalled, and they've got a great finisher in Diego Palma. The experience of Taboada, Morello. I just wonder why Montero there, who impressed me so much in his opening games with Argentina in the sevens after a brilliant brief performance in the Junior World Cup in Rosario. But he's not starting up anyway. New Zealand's Nick Bryant is in charge. Well, there are the boos, friendly boos, I hope, if there are such things. 0-0, and a cup quarter-final at stake. 2 wins out of 2 for Australia over Zimbabwe and Canada. For Argentina, Canada beat them 22-21, and then they beat Zimbabwe. Well, which Argentina will it be? More promising start here, good hands, powerful figure of Decio, but flag is up, quick throw in. Line out was already formed. All in a rush. Hamish Angus to throw in then. One of the Warringah Rats, New South Wales club. There he is, running around, taking the tap down, fed wide by the captain Bernard Foley. Here's the first look of John Grant, and he's well marshalled there in defence. Good tackle. Well, we didn't see the great tackling of Argentina in the opener, and this is going to be a lovely breakaway now, and it's Hamish Angus. Good time to score your first try of this tournament, the 21-year-old. And the Warringah Rat scampers away. Perfect start for Australia. Well, Grant had been checked all right, but look at this. He sees the chance and says, up the middle, don't need anyone else. There's no one else anyway. Good opener. Conversion good. Well, he may be called up to play cricket these days with the disappointments for Australia in the Ashes in the World Cup a couple of days ago. He's a very talented cricket player as well as rugby. I suppose he can play both seasons. Back come Argentina with Bottini. Bottini now on to Decio. Kept in play well. Alcacer. Oh, he's lost it. That's unlucky. Unlucky that for Morello. And it went forward, so it'll be a scrummage put in for the Wallabies. Well, these young Wallabies who've been pulled together again by Michael O'Connor. As I said, not one of them played here last year, as the players were picked up by the Super 14 teams. Some into the Wallabies as well, of the 15 side. It's been a great proving ground, very much supported by Robbie Deans, the coach of the national 15. Michael O'Connor did a remarkable job in grooming some of these promising young rugby players into the higher echelons of the adult game at 15s. Got a very young side. Bernard Foley sets it up on the 22. Ed Jenkins, one of those who was part of the Wallaby squad that won in London their first cup final title since Brisbane in 2002. That was at Twickenham last season. Offside. Oh, so it was on the ground. He was on the ground. Nearly away. Bernard Foley again. It's turned over the well by Argentina. And again, he's playing the ball on the ground, though. That's the problem. Twice in a row by Argentina. Pretty frenetic pace in this opening 4.5 minutes already. Australia with that early try. This is Grant. Powerful, strong 22-year-old. Reckoned to be the second fastest player in the Aussie squad at all games. Terrific tackling this time. That's better from Argentina. But the ball winning still is with Australia. Possession is good. Jonathan Lance, Jono Lance. Now it's Grant again with another foray, and he steps out of the tackle this time. Gets away from Diego Palma. Well, he's making a real impact. Product of St Ignatius College in Sydney and the Eastwood Club in New South Wales. Reckoned to be the second fastest Wallaby of the current squads, behind Lockie Turner. Well, that's where his strength and power pays dividends. So they rocket quickly up to 14-0. Knock on there from Grant. Advantage quickly over. Argentina needs something in the last minute, really, before half-time to lift the spirits. Check of the ball by Hernan Olivari, and it's come out free. Bounces kindly to Oz. Foley, Bernard Foley, that is. No relation to Sean, of the same surname. Lewis Holland, the 12-year-old. Great tackle that one was. Playing the ball on the ground. Well, that was a superb tackle by Francisco Cunho. Well, 5 seconds to go. The referee will play the line out as Nicholas Fernandez-Lobby looks on. Hasn't gone well for the Pumas so far here in Hong Kong this year. 3 times they made the Cup quarter-finals in the 4 tournaments already played this season. But that's the danger of kicking it away into touch and giving a line out. They lose the line out, and Bernard Foley goes the whole way from deep inside his own half. And that's a tactic I never quite understand, with Argentina deciding with that penalty, with the last play of the half, which they knew it must have been, putting the ball into touch and risking the loss of the ball at the line out to follow. And that's exactly what happened, and cost them at least 5 points. Well, the young captain and the product, there have been some very good products coming out of Sydney University. He's one of them, the 21-year-old, and puts Australia, well, not quite out of sight, but in a very, very comfortable position at the break at 20. Wellington. When they got to the Cup semi-final, they lost just narrowly last month to New Zealand, 17-20 on New Zealand's home territory. But they are very much in contention for the Cup title here. Argentina, it's a very steep hill ahead of them. 21-0 down, knocked forward. Well, they need to score within the next minute, really, Argentina. Remember their poor display. Against that, a terrific inspired performance by Canada, which saw Argentina lose 21-22 to Phil Mack's side. Break almost through there by Gaston Revol, who's just come on as a half-time replacement. Francisco Cunho, does he get away with the good pass? Francisco Morello, kick and chase. The ball is available, but the bounce is unkind for Javier Ortega-Decio. And this is Holland. Bright, sparky young player is this new 18-year-old in the squad. Number 12 there with that bush of blonde hair. Argentina, well, it's virtually desperate. Man over here for sure. Can't miss, can they? And away in the corner, Francis Morello. Well, the door not quite yet closed. Simple overlap, well worked. And Diego Palma. Australia make a replacement here, or about to, with Tavita Kurindrani, another of the teenagers on the field, just 19, from Queensland University, and as you can probably tell, Fijian born, but qualified for Australia and committed now with an appearance in the National Sevens squad. Means that you're committed to that country. Once more, it's Diego with Palma. Diego Palma. And this is a step up here by Argentina. 21-7. They're not out of it yet. Oh, that's going to be a penalty for the player not going back 10, and you might say it was a deliberate knock-on anyway, which would have been a penalty. Through and to the line, I think so, just. Santiago Bottini. Well, this is the sort of comeback we've seen many a time by Argentina. Look a little lackluster in earlier rounds and then suddenly produce the form that you knew was there potentially. How frustrating it must be at times for Nicolas Fernandez-Lobby to think that they you know, had lost the game earlier against a side they regularly beat in Canada, but that was a lot of credit to Canada, and that's very well taken by Santiago Bottini. (21-14). Suddenly the onus is on Australia. Nerves probably jangling a little bit now after a comfortable lead. Didn't quite go the 10, didn't quite go the 10. Those few millimeters, was it, or maybe a couple of centimeters, didn't quite get to the line 10 meters from the halfway, which means Australia get the free kick. And they're not in a hurry, but they're probably a little bit nervous underneath the surface. Bernard Foley. Can't play the ball on the ground, and that's what, the third time, and shouts of encouragement or advice from Nicolas Fernandez-Lobby from the touchline. And again, Australia know the time is on their side. Less than 3 minutes, but they'll be more comfortable with another score. Plenty of time for Argentina, albeit they knew at the start that they had to get a big score to overcome Australia's advantage of the 2 wins and the big scores already. So 19 points win is out of sight really, but they'd love a win, and that would certainly make sure of a plate position rather than lower down in the bowl. Penalty against Francisco Cunha. Got to come in from behind the backmost foot, and came in on the side. That's in eagerness really, nothing more or less than that. 21-14, less than 2 to go. Argentina, who have over the years of the IRB Sevens World Series have beaten Australia more times than not, 17 times to 15. And most recently they met in George, second tournament of this season, and Argentina won 14-12. So they've been well matched. It was in London that Australia last beat Argentina, 26-14 in the Cup semi-final, on the way to that long-awaited Wallaby triumph. Hamish Angus dancing around. Jonathan Lance on the dance, into the hands of Bernard Foley, the skipper. Turnover ball or not? Penalty though. Minute and a half. Australia want to wrap it up. They're hanging on here at 21-14. Remember, it's only the best 4 pool winners who go through. And Australia know if they win, they are certain to be one of those, with 3 wins out of 3 and a good margin on the points side. So it's as important for them to win as it is indeed for Argentina. Good tackle. May have heard a bit. That was Gaston Rival. Less than 3/4 of a minute to go. But it's a big step up that we've seen here from Argentina after a lacklustre early rounds. Notably last night, of course, the opening round when they lost to Canada. Trying to keep it in play desperately, but the ball rolls beyond the touchline. Not forgetting that if the ball hits the touchline even, it's out of play. Unlike most sports. Tennis, for instance. Well, it looks pretty safe now, and the ball knocked out deliberately, of course, by Sean Foley. And Australia, well, a very convincing first half, but the big comeback by Argentina unsettled their morale a little, maybe, as Argentina improved their game out of sight, but it wasn't enough. And so we know for certain Australia, with 3 wins out of 3.